just let them die. And they were coming home, and Mother or Grandma looked out there and said, "Look, there's a lady crawling in the sand." And Grandpa stopped, and they were really taken by it because she was all bloody at her knees from crawling in the sand and the dirt and stuff, and she was blind and couldn't see. And Grandma and Grandpa picked her up, took her with them to Grouse Creek, and as near as we can figure in times and dates, kept her for around 8 months. Took care of her, cleaned her up, fed her, watched over her, and her family learned a whole lot of service through that experience. And when she passed away, she said that Grandpa made a coffin out of some boards that he had. She took an old sheet and lined it and then buried her in one of Grandma's nightgowns. Her grave is out there today in the cemetery at Grouse Creek. I think of all the things that my parents did or my grandparents did, I think that's one of the kindest stories of compassion that I've ever heard. And they said they knew that the Indians knew that they had her, because quite often they'd get up in the morning and find a dead turkey on their, or rabbits or something they had killed in the night to feed them. So they knew that they were taking care of her. And she said from then on they never did have another problem with the Indians. I hope you enjoy and remember that story about your grandparents, great-grandparents. It's true, it's recorded, and it's just a wonderful story of compassion.
Thank you.
Some of these stories that I remembered that was so interesting to me are that Grandma never did learn their language. This lady was blind, and when they first found her, she was so frightened because she couldn't see who it was. She couldn't understand. All she knew is some people with the white man's language was picking her up and pulling her to come into the wagon. But because of their tenderness of Grandma and Grandpa and putting her in, taking her home for the 8 months, they never could communicate, couldn't speak each other's language. They just took care of her. Now, she's buried in the cemetery out there, and they don't know a name for her. And so in the cemetery, when you go to Grouse Creek and see, you go back in the back section, back corner, and it's just what's on the marker?
It's northwest corner, right in the corner of the cemetery. And as far as I know, Mother said all that they had on it was Indian lady.
Yeah, they didn't know who she was, knew anything, they just called it the Indian lady that was there. But anyway, I wanted to hear that, and when you was asking about it, Russ, I wanted to see if Aunt Ivy would tell the story. Wayne, do you remember any more about the story?
No, but I remember the story about Grandma.
Okay, tell a story about Grandma.
Great-grandma.
Okay, great-grandma.